Well, hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. And for my returning viewers, welcome back. Today's video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I figured I'd bring you guys along for. So in this box right here, I have a front bumper with a winch mount for the XJ. So we're going to be tearing into this box, putting it together ourselves, painting it, and then putting it on the Jeep. Now the paint process I'm not going to show here. This is just going to be kind of an assembly of this front bumper. But for anyone interested in a good solid metal bumper for an XJ, hopefully this will be the solution for you. Now I got this on a Black Friday sale for around 100 bucks, full price. I think these kits are about 150. So if you have a welder, I got a cheap little Harbor Freight wire welder. If you have a welder at home, you should be able to do this. Hopefully this video will kind of help you decide if this is something you want to do or not. And then it'll also let you kind of see the quality of this prior to you actually having to purchase it yourself and go through this process. Reason I went with it is, you know, all the cheap bumpers you find online, either on Amazon, eBay, or some other retailers, you know, for the $200 to $300 range, are all bolted together. Rough Country even has one for the XJ, 350 bucks. It's all bolted together, and it's just not very good quality. So to get a fully welded bumper, you know, you're looking at $600–700 range, something like a Smitty built. But this bumper is going to let us get a full welded bumper for a fraction of the cost. We just have to do a lot of the work ourselves instead of paying someone else to do it. So I guess instead of keep talking about it, let's rip this box open and jump into it. So now we got all of our bumper pieces laid out on the floor. This is for the front. This is going to be the base. And then we have the side wings for the side of the bumpers. And these smaller ones are supports for those wings. Now, for a place to hook shackles in the front, they only sent me one. So I'm going to have to reach out to the seller and get another one of these sent. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by bending a lot of these pieces to 90 degrees. So they want us to start with this section that's going to end up being the front. So if we grab this section that's going to be the front, just look at both, decide which one you want to be the very front. And I'm going to go with this side. So now we're going to bend this up to 90 degrees. If you had a table to set this on, that'd be really great. I don't have a table to clamp this down to, but I'm just going to get like some crescent wrenches, stick on here, and then bend this up as close to 90 as I can. So let's do that now. So here's my first piece that I'm going to bend. As I said, I want this surface right here to be the front surface facing out. Now where this gap is, or this break, is where we're going to bend it. And we're going to bend it to a 90 degree, and this is going to end up being the top. So whichever side you want to be the front, bend this away from that side. So we're going to bend this way, and then I'll grab a square to check for 90. Start kind of in the middle-ish here. Okay, now that we have this pretty close to 90, I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple tacks in here because the tacks that they put on here as I was bending, some of them broke. So I'm just gonna put a couple extra tacks to keep this held together. Okay, so I don't know if I'm gonna destroy my camera if I get this welding on camera, so I'm just not gonna do it. But here's the back, and they had tack welds here from the factory, but the one down here snapped off when I bent this to 90. So I got this to 90, checked it with the square, got it close enough to where I'm happy, put a tack there. And then I just moved down the line, making sure all this was as close to 90 as I could get it. And then I just added in a few extra tacks along the way. So now this piece is tacked up, we can move on to bending the next piece. Okay, so this big piece here is our next piece, and I don't know if you can tell, these two sides were already kind of bent just from, you know, shipping and this long package. They're already kind of bent to this inside, so these are both going to get bent up to a 90-degree angle, as well as this one's going to get bent up in the same direction these are to a 90-degree angle. So we'll go ahead and bend these sides. Same thing, I just got my crescent wrenches here. I'll grab onto the metal and bend it up as close to 90 as I can get. Yeah, I'm sure you may have heard the tack on this side kind of pop. We're not quite at 90. We'll bend a little more. Okay, now we're pretty close to 90 front and back. So here in a second, I'll throw a couple tacks in here. Again, I'm not gonna record the welding just because I don't know if it's gonna fry my camera or not, and that's the only camera I have to record you guys videos. So anyways, let's go bend the other side up just like we did this side, and then we'll bend this middle section up in to 90. Okay, this side now went a little bit too far. It's pinching in on the top of the square and I got a gap at the bottom, so I'll bend that back, come back a little bit. I'm not gonna tack this down until I'm happier with this angle. There we go. Now we're right at 90. So before we lose our angles on the two sides, I don't imagine anything's gonna happen, but I'm gonna go ahead and hook the welder up, give these a couple tacks, then I'll bend this middle section. Just wanna show you, I got a couple tacks on this side, got a couple tacks on this side, and I just, like I said, keep playing with the angle till you get it right where you want it. Make sure you're happy with it, and put a couple tacks in there to lock it in. Now let's bend this little one up. can't get it all in one shot, you just do what I'm doing. Move it a little bit at a time. And then check for 90. I don't think we're quite there yet. Now same thing here, I'll throw some tacks in. As you could see, I've been at a little over 90 and had to come back just a little bit. But like I said, when you get close to 90, just work slow back and forth, get it dialed in right where you want it, and then throw some tacks in there. Next we're gonna bend the wings. I went ahead and laid these on either side just so I wouldn't get confused. This is what your wing is gonna look like on here. This small piece going back towards the outside of your vehicle. This small piece here towards the very outside of the bumper. And then these will both be bent to 90, and this will end up coming down around the front. And then this is going to be the very bottom. But since they send you two exact ones in their mirror image of each other, just to make sure I don't bend them both the same way, I went ahead and laid everything out. So now we'll take this one and we'll start working on bending these in and around and tacking this piece up. So I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna be bending everything up in. So I'm gonna bend this first one up to 90 and I'll probably tack it, and then I'll bend this big part of the wing back up also to 90 and then tack it. So let's start by bending this small piece up. Okay, my square's not fitting in there, so I'm just pushing on this seam, getting it bent out of the way. So hopefully I can use my square, and that's why I started with this real small piece first. Just small tweaks at a time until you're happy with it. Okay, that's very close now. I'll throw a couple extra tacks in here and then we'll bend this big piece back up. So now I've thrown a couple extra tacks in here. Now we're gonna bend this bigger portion back up over. Okay, so my square is too big to get in here. I'm just going to use these small magnets I have. They're little 90-degree magnets, because I'm not going to run out and buy a smaller square just for this, or an angle finder, or any of that stuff, because I don't want to be pouring more money that's unnecessary into this. So looks like the surfaces of the magnets on both sides have pretty good contact. I don't see any gaps. So that should be pretty close to 90 for our purposes. This isn't doing anything extraordinary, and it's just a bumper, you know? So let's not worry about it too much. Let's throw some tacks in there to log down what we got and just move on. Okay, so here's the finished product of that. This is our wing for our passenger side. So now we're just gonna duplicate what we did here to our other wing. So this will be what our driver's side wing is gonna sit like. So I'm gonna just flip it over. Start with the small section first. Bend it back up to 90. And then we'll bend this big section back to here, just like we did on the first one. Tack it up and move on. All right, I'm happy enough with that now. We'll lock it down. Okay, now we're looking at our wing that we just tacked. This one's for the driver's side. They send you a couple of these small pieces, and from what I can gather, they want you to bend this joint here at like a 62.5 degree, and then fold this back over to meet the wing. This is gonna end up going right here. So this will be bent to kind of match this. It's got a relief cut because it's going back, and then this will be bent over to make contact here. So I don't have a way to measure exactly 62.5 degrees or whatever it is they want you to bend it at. So I'm just gonna bend this and hold it up here until this matches with this piece we just bent on the wing and it looks good. And then I'm gonna bend this over, tack it up, and call it good. So let's start working on that now. Okay, so since this one's so small, it's kind of hard to bend this gap, and I can't hardly keep my foot over it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a crescent wrench on each side and just pull them together. I'm gonna keep doing that a little bit at a time until we get the angle we want. A little bit more. Bring you in a little closer so you can see what we have here. So I'm gonna stand this up, make it flush with this wing over here. We got a little bit of a space, but you can see it's about running on the same plane. So I'm happy enough with that for now. So I'll bend this over to meet this angle over here, and then let's see what we come up with. Okay, so I bent it to meet what we had just bent. So now this should go on here, something like this. All right, I wanted to show you guys this next portion on the wing real quick. So here's what I did. I held that piece we just bent up here and matched it up as good as I could with this. Put 2 tacks there. lined it up with what's going to be the top. I put this gap even with the wing that we bent, tacked it there, and as you see here, hopefully you can tell, is this isn't quite lined up with this. It needs a little more bend, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I'll tack these together, and I'll tack this other corner together over here when we're happy with this angle. Okay, that looks like a pretty decent corner now. And this one doesn't look great, but it'll all get filled up with weld, and this is going to be on the bottom anyway, so no one will ever see that. Don't worry about it. All right, let's tack this, and we'll repeat this process on the other wing. Okay, here's our passenger side wing. Got my piece here, and I'm just going to orient it properly, so I make sure to do the bends the correct way. So remember, this flat portion is going to line up with the middle of the wing. It's going to set up against the wing tip part. This small portion is going to line up with the very bottom of our bumper, and this portion bends in to cover this outside edge. Okay, so now that we know which way to bend this, we'll start bending. And again, this being such a small piece, I'm going to use a crescent wrench on each side and just pull them into each other, working my way down. Okay, that angle looks close enough. Now we're gonna bend this down to meet this, and then same thing as before, we'll tack it up, get this bent even closer how we like it, and then finish tacking. Okay, so here's the first part we bent. This is our front. This small lip is on the top, and it's gonna set over top of this middle section we just bent. And then we'll tack it up. Now after we get that tacked like that, we'll stick our wings on here in this fashion and tack our wings on. Now after we get everything tacked up, it's a good idea to pull our old bumper off and just mock this one up to make sure it's gonna fit before you fully weld it. So again, I'm not gonna show the process of fully welding it. I just really don't wanna mess my camera up if that's gonna do any damage to my lens. But I will show you guys what it looks like fully welded after I've got it completed, and then we'll take a look at what it looks like on the vehicle. I'm also not going to show finishing this. You can finish it whatever way you want it. I'm undecided right now if I'm going to do a color or if I'm going to do like bed liner or what exactly I'm going to do. But either way, once it's mounted and I show you guys the finished product on the rig, you'll see it at the end of the video. So I'm going to start by sticking this up there, tacking it, and then I'll start tacking the side, and I'll show you guys what it looks like all tacked up. Okay, so here's our bumper, all tack welded up. I used this part where the shackle goes as kind of a spacer where it sits off the ground back here. I just used that to hold this up. Got the corner of the wing lined up, and just barely set it on the edge of this bracket here. Put a couple tacks, and did the same thing for the other side. Now that this is all tacked up, I'm gonna pull the original bumper off, put this one on, just make sure it fits. And as long as it fits good and I don't need to make any tweaks where I have to cut these wings off or something, then I'll full weld this all up, and then painting will be the next step. Okay, so I've removed the bumper, just 3 bolts on either side, all 15 mil. And you're gonna have to disconnect this vacuum canister. Just one connection here on the side. And as you can probably tell here, I've had to cut the wings off. So with the wings on, it's too tight of a fit right here and it won't clear the side. So I cut the tacks off, and I'm just gonna stick it up here and touch it against the side right there. And then you can see the gap we're gonna have there. That'll be fine. We'll fill it all in with weld. but I'm just gonna hold it where I want it on here. We'll tack it in place, and then I'll remove this and we'll finish weld everything up. So I would recommend, if you're doing this, don't put the wings on. Don't even tack them on. That'll just give you more stuff to clean up. Just get this center portion together. Get it held up here with some jack stands like I have. I got it supported on 2 jack stands. Get the bolts started, get this all where you want it. And then after, when you have this where you want it, hold your wing up here, get it set against the body, tack it there, and then pull it back off and finish weld it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now, and then I'll pull this bumper back off and finish weld it up. Here's what the bumper looks like so far. I did the best I could on the edges. What I did after welding it together, took a grinder wheel, ground all these edges, rounded them over as best I could, and then I took a flapper disc and went back over all the surfaces as well as each weld there, and tried to get it as feathered in as best I could. So I'm gonna paint this with some bed liner. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna throw it up on some jack stands, put a tarp under it, start wiping it down with some mineral spirits, and then I got some self-etching primer. I'll spray the primer on, and then I'll put the bed liner on, and I'll show you guys what the finish looks like after we get it all done. After we get it painted up, I'm gonna throw it on the Jeep, and then of course put my winch in the winch mount box there. So I'll bring you guys back and show you what this looks like after. Here it is, all finished up and installed. So I've let this set and cure for a couple days, and now I got it on. I love the look of this. If you'll remember from earlier in the video, we kind of kicked these wings out a little bit so I wouldn't have to cut these down. A lot of people will cut these even with the headlights to get some tire clearance when they do a lift. I'm not quite there yet on this Jeep. I probably will do it in the future at some point, but for right now I just wanted to get a bumper on that I could throw a winch on, and that was a little more heavy duty. So I'm really happy with this. Something I want to mention real quick, or show you, this is where I put the vacuum canister. I just zip tied it to this support in here, and this is usually mounted to the back side of your front bumper. So I just took it, zip tied it up there, and it'll stay protected behind the bumper here. Well, that's it, guys. I hope you found this video helpful. For those of you that are curious, fully in this bumper, I'm only in it about 150 bucks. That includes the paint that we used to finish it. So with that being said, that's $200 cheaper than the cheapo bolt together bumper from Rough Country. So I'm a fan of this fully welded bumper. If you got a welder and a grinder at home and just a little bit of knowledge on how to run those, you should be able to take this on at home yourself and, you know, get a good solid bumper. So anyways, I'll leave a link down in the description on where I got this one. If you guys are interested in it, I'm sure there's several companies out there that make them, but I'll leave a link in the description so it's easy for you guys to find. If you stuck around this long, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate the support, and you know, hope the channel continues to grow and I can continue making you guys hopefully some good videos as time goes on. So if you like the video, consider liking, consider subscribing to the channel. If you have anything in particular you want to see on one of these XJs, let me know and I'll see if I can get you a video on it. So until then, we'll catch you guys on the next video.